All right, now if you find yourself ever lighting anything, it doesn't matter if it's an interview, if it's a narrative, or you're just doing run and gun type work, there's no doubt that having a good, reliable fill light on you is gonna be one of those things that's just gonna become a very, very important thing in your kit. And that is where things like panel lights become very, very important. Panel lights are good because you can operate with them super fast, they're light, they let you go very, very quickly, as I said, but they let you really, really dial in and control the contrast ratios or give a little bit of illumination or spread on a wall. However you want to use them, these are very, very flexible paintbrushes in your light kit, for a lack of a better term. Oh, hey, do me a favor, if you actually want to support independent artists out there that are making creative and new cinema, go ahead and do me a favor and check out my film, AmericanDeadbolt.com. You can go and you can buy this movie for only $5.99. It would directly go to support independent film and keeping artists like me out there actually working in today's world. Now, today what I want to do is I want to take a look at this one right here, because this is kind of an interesting one, and I do think with the price point and some of the combinations you get for it, it's really worth looking at. Now, this right here is the GODOX Litemons LP1200R. Now, this is a full color RGB light panel, and what's cool about this is this measures at 12 by 16 inches, so it's got a pretty good size to it, but it's really light, really good for traveling, really, really helpful if you want to have that run and gun capacity. So now all that being said, there is one thing that I would like to start off talking about this light, why for me, I found this incredibly useful the second I got it out of the box. And that is, if you look here on the back, as you can see, obviously this is on, but look at that, no cables. This has a beautiful little V-mount port right here on the back of the light. Now I've got a V-mount in here right now, and I can just pop that off just so you can see. If I pop it off, obviously the light goes out. But now you can see there is a V-mount port because this light gives you two major ways to power it. You can power it through a traditional DC mount right down here, basically plug it in right there, or you can power it here via the V-mount. This really, really, really is important for me if you have a panel type light like this, because usually when I'm using these, I am using these in quick setup situations, especially if I'm doing a lot of documentary work or just faster shooting work where I have a client that has a lot of setups we got to get done really fast. Having the ability to slap a V-mount on there and not have to find a wall plug is going to be really, really important. It's also really nice too if you have an assistant or something, they can handhold it and you get a nice key just from a handheld light in a very quick run and gun situation, even if you're somewhere that's nowhere near a plug. Now, aside from the V-mount itself, the light I think is decently constructed. I mean, it is plastic. That's not necessarily a bad thing because I think this is really designed well for travel and on-the-go type situations, especially for taking in luggage. But just be aware, the yoke here is going to be metal, but the rest of it is just kind of a nice light plastic. Very, very easy to handhold. And what I really like about it, it does come with these barn doors. So that lets you get a situation you can control the light. And I'm always gonna want barn doors when I have a light, just because I'm a guy that likes to control my light and want to be a freak. And as you can see, the yoke lets you kind of go and rotate and go everywhere like this. Now, one thing, do be aware if you are with the barn doors, you know, if you want to point straight down, the barn doors will limit you a little bit there. But if for some reason you're not worried about the barn doors and you just want to get the biggest spread possible, you can actually, I'm going to pop these off real quick just so you can see. You can actually, let me clear the yoke here, but you can actually slide this off and slide it back on and put it back on. Now, as I said, this is of course a full RGB light, which means you have a ton of flexibility here in your color range. Now, from a bicolor perspective, this thing gives you a gigantic 1800 Kelvin all the way up to a 10,000 Kelvin color range in a bicolor mode, which is very, very helpful for mimicking fires, candlelight, tungsten light, moonlight, daylight, you name it. This gives you a nice color range. But I really do like having the full RGB mode because there are going to be times, especially you want to add maybe an accent to wall, that having that little bit of color range is going to be a very, very nice little touch. Now, it's very, very simple to operate this. I mean, as you can see, it's extremely intuitive. It's got a really, really nice LED display here on the back that clearly lets you know exactly what's going on. Now, obviously, because you can see my light is red right now, I'm in an HSI mode, but you can click on the mode button and you can cycle between a CCT, an HSI, an RGBW. You can get gels, and you have your classic FX mode. Now, of course, it's got buttons. It's very, very simple, and there's not much to it, which is exactly what you want with a light. You don't really want to have to fiddle with it. And now, while all these fixtures are really, really nice to have on this light, and it's very easy to use, this is really the real way you're going to be using it, and that's because this sucker does have Bluetooth control, which means you can use the Godox app, which by far unlocks every single aspect of this light and most of us are going to be operating the light using this Godox app much more than actually using the controls on the back, just because it's faster, it's easier to use, and a lot of times you'll set your light up farther away from you and you just want to access fast. One thing I really love about this light is, even though it's a very, very affordable light at only $214, I still can use the same app that I use with all of my big professional Godox lights, and I can basically make a whole system and it plays perfectly with all of them. Now, if you look here, the app is pretty straightforward and simple way to spec an app. You can see I have here a red thing, but I'm in HSI mode. But as you can see, as I dial through, you can see just how instantly it responds and changes to all the colors that I might want to throw at it. And of course, this light is very, very bright. I've only got it at 1% power because it's going to blow out this camera. That's just give you got some really good punch from this light when you're rolling. You can also get your RGB mode. Of course, you have your color temperature mode, which has a good green magenta shift, which is very, very important, a great feature of any RGB light. And then of course, if you come here, you can get these gels and dial these in, or if you are an FX person, that's a look at some of the classic FX that you want to get if you want to basically dial that in and just have it. Now, there is one other aspect of this light that I do think is worth mentioning. That's going to be the light quality and output. Now, this 1200 has 120 watt outputs of power, which is a pretty good output for an LED light. Now, you're not going to completely overpower midday sun, but if you need a fill light outside and you can get close enough to your subject, this actually will help you do that. The other thing about this is, because this is a Godox light and Godox makes really, really good, trusted professional lighting equipment, this thing actually has a really good CRI rating and a TLCI rating of 96. So you're going to get good skin tones. And just in case you're wondering, if you do have, like, say, a 99 watt hour light on there with this 120 watt output on there, you can probably get, depending if you're at 100%, 100% is probably going to get you about 45, 50 minutes on a 99 watt hour battery. But of course, you can go for a bigger battery if you want, or honestly, like most people, you're probably not going to be using this at 100% power, but that just gives you an idea for how long you can run and gun with this out there on pure battery power. So this whole light comes together in a really, really nice little package. And one little thing that I thought was a cool thing is it does come with this like carrying case that you can stack it all in there. It's super slim. You can see how slim that is. I can just slip this easily in my back seat with other lights and take it with me. And what I like about this too is I do a lot of traveling on airplanes, and I love the fact that I can pack this in a piece of luggage and have a nice full light with me. And what's cool, I thought, was that Godox makes these things as kits. So it's $214 for one light, but you can get like a kit of these for like $400, or you can get 3 for $600, and you get a case with all that each time you get it. Now, whenever I do a review, I always like to point out what I would consider any room for improvement, just so you're fully aware what this is, what it isn't, and if it makes sense to have it in your kit or not. I mean, the one thing I would say, as far as it's not really room for improvement per se, but it is something just to be aware of how this light is designed, and that's kind of the price point. And that is that, you know, this is a very, very light, yeah. So even though it's designed to, you know, be used in professional settings, it is constructed of plastic. So, you know, the durability of this is one thing that I'd say, if you're going to be taking this light in really, really rough, beat up conditions, then I don't know how long it would survive like real rough conditions. In a studio, this will last you a really long time. If that's mostly what you're doing, it'll be good. But it's just to be kind of considered. But anyway, guys, that's basically what I have to say here about the LP1200R. I think it's a really, really powerful light. I love the Godox line, and it might be something that's worth considering for you if you're out there shooting. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say with this. Leave me notes and comments down below, and yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.